Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Spice Up Manifestation Hot Sauce Sessions. And today we are in day 12 of manifesting the miracles into our life, inviting all the possibilities. And I celebrate each one of you who comes here to watch me live, and each one of you who is going to be watching replay. Because remember, it all starts from our decision. When we make the decision that we want to go and attract something that we truly desire, it takes the effort, it takes the resilience, it takes the consistency, and it takes the persistency. So manifestation is fun, but at the same time it takes a little bit of the effort. And just to give you a little bit of the details, remember that we are always manifesting. We are always manifesting it, meaning that whatever we are thinking, whatever we are speaking, whatever we are acting like, we are bringing forward into our reality. Hey, Wendy, thanks for coming. It's always a pleasure to see you. So we are constantly manifesting, but a lot of people do it unconsciously. They are not making that connection that everything that they entertain in their heads, and usually what do we have in our heads? All our problems, all our issues, all our worries, right? So the more we focus on that, the more we are inviting them to come to our reality. So, with this manifestation, when we say we are consciously manifesting, it means to keep in check our minds, to really check our thoughts, to pay attention at our words and how we act, how we are showing up in this world. That's exactly what's going to determine how successful we are going to manifest something. Hey, Bruno, thanks for stopping by. And that's why we want to manifest something exciting. Yes, to binge watch this weekend is their place where I can find all the replays. Yes, Wendy, I'm gonna send you the YouTube channel, or you can just go through this page that you are watching right now, or I can send you the YouTube channel. So I'll give you the link so you can watch it definitely. And I salute you for like really standing and wanting to learn and wanted to explore. So the thing is that remember, we are constantly manifesting, but it's our choice whether we want to manifest unconsciously, meaning that the majority of people just walking around and they create the results by default, or we want to create consciously where we actually tune in and say we want specific things, right? And we start designing our manifestation and our life. So I just want to recap what we've done the previous time. For this week, we were focusing on the blocks because remember, manifestation works if we work it, if we put the work in. And a lot of times there are these invisible blocks. We call them blocks, but these are the energetic, centers that are not allowing the energy flows freely because there is something that blocking us. So when we say about what is it actually blocking us, we talked about fear, right? Fear is something that can froze our manifestation because sometimes people are not willing to step over that fear and do something that is not usual for them. Then the other thing we were talking about yesterday, the limiting beliefs, and how important it is for us to repattern our statements, our beliefs for something more powerful, right? And today we are going to be talking about self-doubt and impatience. These are another things that frustrate a lot of people, and that's why a lot of people do not go through the entire process of manifestation and they quit beforehand, right? So when we talk about, I do not believe that this is true, right? Because obviously it's difficult to believe in something that we not see. But then again, this is exactly how our energy works. We put the work in and then we see the results. And when people say, I do not believe in that, what I'm telling them that they are just declaring that they do not believe in themselves. Because we are the ones to carry that power. We are the ones to exercise that power and show that obviously we can do anything what we put our mind to. And I just want you to connect to anything in the past when there was something in your life when you said, you know what, I really want it, but I'm not sure how I can achieve it. But anyways, you decided to pursue it and you achieved it. And I know that each one of us had that kind of experience in the past. So now it's our time to reconnect and remind ourselves that we are more powerful that we put the things when we put the things into perspective, right? So let's talk a little bit about doubt and impatience and how they impact negatively our manifestation. Because remember, manifestation, it's all about our vibration on a specific frequency. And next week, we are going to be talking about what does it mean to vibrate on a specific frequency. So today, we are just saying that anything like fear or doubt or impatient, this is something that brings us back, or our limited beliefs, something that just brings back and repel our manifestation success, because we have to deal with everything in order to manifest successfully. So let's talk about the doubt. Doubt actually that generates internal resistance, right? So when we are in doubt, we start questioning how can we achieve something, and we unconsciously start repelling everything what we want to bring into our existence, right? So we are not willing to take these steps that are necessary for us. Doubt also, when we have that doubt, we think that we might not do everything correctly, right? So when we keep our focus on something that could come negatively, obviously our energy is not where it's supposed to be, and our mind is not managed. So we remind ourselves that when we are in doubt, we just have to shift our focus. Remember, the coin has two sides. So the same thing is happening for anything. If there is negative, there is positive. So we always remind ourselves, let's just shift our focus and our attention, bring our attention to something positive. So when we are in doubt, we are just saying to ourselves, what can I tell to myself in order to repattern that thought and make it more powerful, that it would match exactly what I'm creating? So when we constantly doubting, it can actually drain our energy and drain our desire to do something. That's why it's so important to stay focused on what we want and do not worry that something is not going to work out. Because remember, when we do something that we haven't used to do, right? Wendy says, I believe I become impatient. Where it is. Yes, yes, where it is. Why it's not showing up, right? Yes, that's exactly how it is, right? So each time we get impatient, we just have to remind ourselves that everything comes in the divine time. Remember when people are asking, when? And I say, as soon as you match that frequency, as soon as you put this work, as soon as you're ready to receive. Sometimes we want something, but we are not even ready for it. And we are not realizing, right? Sometimes people want something grand and they think it's just a wishful thinking, right? So the idea is, in order to attract it, we have to be ready for it. We have to be ready for it energetically, and we have to be ready to receive, because sometimes we are not ready to receive. Yes, you want it now. I know, dear, but we have to put the work in, right? Because that's exactly how things work, right? So to become the successful person, you have to put the work in. To be a great athlete, you have to put the work in, right? to to do anything, to play a instrument and be skillful, you have to put the work in, right? And the work takes time, especially if, just thinking about it, we have never done anything similar to this work. So we want to really understand how it works in order to make it work for us, right? So another thing, if you want to be more confident that manifestation works, and prove to yourself that our brain knows how, I'm just going to show it to you in the workshop. So register for my workshop. I have the link there. It's going to be next Wednesday. Just register for the workshop, and I'm going to give you some exercises, and I'll prove to you that our brain knows how. Bruna says, when people get it, they should honestly ask for wisdom to keep it. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So the idea is that we are all on our journey, right? And everybody has their own timing. So just remember that we are not going anyway. Anyways, we have to live the life, right? But we choose to live the life by design when we are designing something with our vision, with whatever we want to manifest, rather than just going through the motion, right? So impatient, yes, I understand we can be impatient, we can't like sabotage ourselves and have that self-doubt, but at the same token remind ourselves that anyways we are gonna live regardless, but it's better to choose to live and do something about it every day, little by little, little by little, and baby steps take us to the mountain Everest. So let's go into another area, which is when we are impatient, we also overlook and undervalue the progress. So, what I invite you to do, just measure your progress. When you started, like even when we started to work together, if you really go through all the lessons that I was giving you, just think what was your mindset when we just initially started, and how it started to change little by little as you gain this knowledge, as you start doing these fun works. How did it change, right? So we never compare ourselves to somebody else, because remember, everybody is on their individual journey. We only compare ourselves today to ourselves who we were months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, right? So when we start really comparing and measuring, then we start noticing the progress. And it's so important because, like I said, our mindset was just already wired to look at everything negative. Now we want to flip the coin and say, hey, I'm going to count all the wins that I had. I'm going to see how many good things I've done. I'm going to just measure my progress, right? So we start really looking and dissecting these things, and if even if it's needed, just sit down and write it down. So the more we start analyzing and comparing, we realize that no, it feels like we are not moving anywhere, but in actuality the work is done, right? And like I said, with manifestation, once we claim something, remember that reality is already existing. So for us, it's just to tap to that frequency, and it's all just putting the work in and do the work. Focus on the process. Do not worry on for the result is gonna be there when you are ready for it and when the work is done, right? So let's talk a little bit about that impatience. It can actually affect us negatively, right? Because it's impacting our resilience. So when we see that things are not progressing in the speed that we want, it could discourage us from going forward. But it's very important to remind ourselves, I am not a quitter. Remember, the winners are not quitters, and the quitters are not the winners. So just, declare to yourself that you are going to go and do this regardless. Well, but even if you do not see the progress, even if you do not see the result, because you know the result is going to show up, there is no such a thing as maybe or possibly. It's definitely going to show up, but we just don't know when, right? So we just put the work, we do everything what is required to do, and we know that in the right time, everything is going to show up for us. Then, so like I said, like if you want to know more about how, just join my workshop. And I wanted also to tell you a little bit about the story of, like we always look at the success of others, right? And we think that they were just meant for success, but this is not true. This is not true. And if we know the singer Taylor Swift, she was struggling. Now we look at her and we see how successful she is. And I remember, like maybe 15 years ago, we were on the cruise ship, and it was amazing cruise ship, Allure of the Seas, and she was actually singing there. At that point, I barely knew her name, and she was singing on the ship. And I remember I remember that my daughter was very small, like 4 or 5 years old. And they said for any kid who is in the kids club, they would take them to the concert there. And my daughter, obviously, she was always like with us. She never wanted to be alone. And she never was taken to that concert. And now I'm talking to her. She's 19 years old. And I'm telling her, well, you missed the opportunity, right? And she's laughing. She said, yeah, I wish I knew who she was at that time, right? But what I wanted to bring with that story, that Taylor Swift actually, she put a lot of resilience, because nobody was recognizing her as that, great singer. So she took no's before actually she started to hear something when she became that famous. But her resilience and trust in her work and believe in herself, that is the most important thing. Because remember, no matter how many times we are going to be said, no, somebody's going to say no to us, there is going to be someone who is going to say finally yes. And all we need is one yes. So don't focus on the notes. Focus on how you can craft and do better, what you can tweak in order to make things work for you, right? Because remember, if we are doing the same things, we are going to produce the same results. So in order for us to produce different results, we have to do something differently. So measure and see whatever steps you're taking. If something doesn't work, just look at these steps and say, what can I tweak? How can I change something for me to see that something is moving, something is working, right? And again, it takes some time, but the more you do this work, the more you train your brain. Remember, we are rewiring our brain. And again, when we talk about when, just pay attention at your age right now. Pay attention at your age and just ask yourself, how many years did I live with this operating system that's already in me? Remember the paradigms we were talking about. We all running on our paradigms, on our belief system. How many years have I been operating under the same system? And now just think about, is it going to be that fast to rewire your brain and change all the patterns? Of course, it's going to take time, right? But it's not going to make us stop doing it, right? Because remember, you have to have that strong why. That why is going to drive you to do things no matter how uncomfortable you are, no matter if you're willing to do. You have to have the courage. Remember, courage is something that we all can partner with and just do things whether we like it or not. That's exactly how things are shifting for us. And Bruno said, yeah. Wendy said, yes, I know, but the pattern in me is impatience, then self-doubt, then I pick myself up and start again. Yeah, you recognize, it's great that you recognize your pattern and you know that you can change it. But it's gonna be like constant reminder, right? So it takes some time. It takes some time, it takes patience. And that's exactly how this work is done. Like I always remind people that the inner work is the most rigorous work, but it's the most rewarding work, right? Because once we work in our on ourselves, and people do not realize, people would go out and invest in anything else but themselves. But the biggest investment we could do is the investment in ourselves, because it's gonna pay us back 100 times more. And like I said, do not get defeated if you are not seeing the results right away. The results are going to be there. Just continue doing that work, because this is really, really important. And Bruno says, fear is a reaction, courage is a decision. Yes. So we can consciously choose and focus on what we truly, truly want. And I just wanted to add one more comment that remember, when we do this work, we are stepping out of the traditional path. What is traditional path? That you go to school, you graduate from college, you have the job, right? But if we want to create our own path, And we call ourselves the trailblazers. We call ourselves visionary because we do not want to be happy with whatever, it is there in the society. We want to create our own freedom. We do not want to work for somebody to create their dream. We want to have our dream, whatever it is, right? We want to have our freedom to do everything what we want. We want to have our financial freedom. We want to have our freedom to do something in the world that we love what we are doing, right? We want to have the freedom to be with the person that we love to be. So we are the one to make that choices, right? And you'll see through this work, you have to get uncomfortable, but it's okay because you know that that price that you are paying right now, whether it's uncomfortable, whether it's investing into the coach, whether it's just, like being considered as somebody crazy around your family or friends because they do not even understand what you are doing. Obviously, they cannot because they've never done that before. So all that price that you are paying right now is gonna be really worthy of everything. Because once you come on that side and you're gonna have that lifestyle, the life that you truly meant to live, and you know that you're not gonna be sitting at the end of your life looking back and regretting, I should have done this or I should have done that. That's where you realize that you're going to put that work and you're going to do everything just to have the life that you truly want. And Bruno says the test will come and people have to be ready for it. Yeah. So the universe is going to test you how serious you are for what you want. And that's when we feel like sometimes we're on that verge of, okay, I can't do this anymore. I have to quit. No, we don't have to quit. We can take a pause. We can rest, right? But then we pick ourselves up and we continue going. And that's why it's so important to have the community of the people who are actually going through the same thing, who are there to uplift you, who are there to support you, and also have the guidance by you, right? To have your coach, because that person is going to look at what is going on, see the blind spots, and actually help you out to find your path, right? And like I said, it's awesome for everybody to come and to join and do this work. So continue measuring your progress and see where it's going to take you. So I celebrate everybody who showed up. Register for the workshop on Wednesday. I will remind about it because there is going to be more clarity on how actually things turn into our favor, because we are going to go through some exercises. I'll show you the examples so you connect more to how we actually can bring something from invisible to our physical reality. That's it from me today. Please take the weekend, watch everything. Wendy, I'll send you the YouTube channel. You can watch it there. Yeah, do everything, do the work. If you have questions, reach out. I would be happy to support you and continue on this path. Do the work because it works when we work it. And I'll see you all on Monday. Thanks so much for joining. All the best. Have a great weekend. Mwah.